I've often wondered what the smallest snake in the world is. I mean, it just seems so obvious that we couldn't have possibly discovered every species of snake in the world. Florida definitely has a lot of snakes. 6 of those snakes are even venomous. However, very few people ever die from a snake bite, here in Florida or the United States. Here's some of the smallest snakes I've ever captured. And I'd like to tell a really cool story from one of my subscribers. The ribbon snake is closely related to the garter snake, but in comparison, the ribbon snake is much more slender than the garter snake. The ribbon snake appears almost like a twig or a reed in the grass, and they like to live by water. But the snakes I've captured here in Florida get much smaller than this. These pine wood snakes, 3 of them in total, were all clustered together under one log. It's not uncommon during mating season for a female to attract multiple mates. I suspect that's why I found 3 of them together. With stunning orange coloration, almost a form of aposematism, these snakes are actually mildly venomous, with no adverse reactions if a human is bitten. It's probably used just to subdue its prey. While these snakes are small, they're still much larger than the ringneck snake, this one here. And much like those pine wood snakes, the ringneck snake is also considered mildly venomous, with no reactions to humans, or just some minor skin irritation. But when you find a baby ringneck snake, you post a video on your channel that says smallest snake in the world ever discovered. You can see why right here. This in fact was kind of clickbaity of me, and I didn't realize there were smaller species of snakes even here in Florida. I actually found one such species, this snake right here. It really looks like a worm. It is believed that this snake is actually an invasive species known as the bhraminy blind snake, and it was transported over here in flower pots, you know, when we ship plants from all over the world. It feeds on a diet of ants, and that's probably why it looks all beat up. That or it was shedding its skin. I really don't know. But for many years, this was considered the world's smallest snake species. It is believed now that the Barbados thread snake is slightly smaller, at least in length. A comment came in from Yep, Right. It was actually the inspiration for this whole video. He says, "This is no joke. I lived in Florida 50 years, from birth. I have seen 12-foot alligator gar, 9-foot 3-inch southeast diamondback rattlesnake without the head. I once caught a snake. The length was 4 inches and no bigger than a human hair in grass outside of the McKinney State Mental Institution in North Florida. My brother and co-workers believed that the snake had already been known of. I was convinced that statement was true. They did not know, and neither did I. For years now, I've been trying to save money to arrange to go back to that area and find it again. It should be either in the pine needles or palmetto hair. You know, the bottom of the palmettos. I named it the palmetto hair snake. It was in my hand. It stuck out its tongue just like every other snake and eventually curled up into a tiny curl about 1/8 of an inch in size. His wish before he passes away is to find this tiny snake again and show the world. So please start looking. My first impression of this is something more like a worm. You know, like this slender worm that they found inside of this pepper. Or the horsehair worm that can be found inside of insects and even in people. Worms tend to be much longer and slender than snakes do. But it sounds like this guy's statement is fairly accurate as far as the dimensions go for snakes. The diameter, probably in question. But if I had to say one thing certainly identifies it as a snake, it'd be the tongue flickering. That's a dead giveaway. That's an attribute of reptiles. Or particularly a forked tongue of snake. Well, I don't know if we'll ever find this palmetto hair snake. I mean, you certainly have to wonder, how many other species out there haven't been identified? I mean, for people who hate snakes so much, how did a snake like this get so large before they finally did their damage to it? And I feel the most important message of all is that we must preserve the ecosystems that harbor these insects, snakes, and wildlife. Because without them, we'll find out where we really fall in the circle of life. The last thing we want to do is create a catastrophic failure in some ecosystem. And if you ever see a snake drowning in a trash can once again, you set that fucker free. We'll see you next time. I'm Alex, the host of The Great Outdoors. Peace.